Hi, my name is Jackie L and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be talking about high school sports. Love them or hate them, at some point in our lives, we all have to do them. And this video was specifically made for any high school students that are going into high school or are in high school and are looking for how to excel in them. I did cross country and swimming in high school. I got injured, so this is specifically advice for injuries, and I'm going to be telling the good, the bad, the ugly, and in hopes this can help you, and at the end I'll give you my advice, so make sure you stay tuned. Usually in America, sports, high school sports count as your PE credits, and so there's a real push to do them. And it definitely helps. I mean, you don't have to be the best, and these are some of the pros you're going to gain if you decide to do a high school sport. I have my notes here. My first pro for high school sports is the work ethic. And what I mean by this is you are at school for 8 hours or for however long it is, and then you have to go straight to practice. You also might have morning practices. And so in between school and practice, you have to find time to do your homework, study for the test, read, whatever it is you have to do. And then also once you get to that sport, you have to try your best, you have to complete the sets, you have to do the physical work. And sometimes it's draining. Okay, my second pro for high school sports is it builds strength. Working out, you're going to build muscle, you're going to build that physical strength. But also you're going to build emotional strength because you're going to have to overcome the thing you think you can't do. Okay, my third pro is confidence. When you do something you think you can't do, that's when you build true confidence. When you push yourself past the point you thought you could, that's when you're going to gain confidence. When you win, you're going to believe in yourself and you're going to start to believe in yourself. Confidence comes from stepping out of your comfort zone, and I think high school sports is a great way to do that. My fourth pro for high school sports is it keeps you out of trouble. Instead of maybe turning to getting into the bad things you can get into high school, like bad friend groups, drugs, drinking, sports give you a way to express yourself and to release pent-up emotions. You can use, a run to get rid of some frustration. You can use it to release some stress. As Elwood said, endorphins make you happy, and happy people don't kill their husbands. So join high school sports. Now that I've talked about the pros of high school sports, I'm going to get into talking about some of the cons of high school sports. And I'm going to be very honest. So let's get into it. Con number one is, sorry to say this, it might sound a little harsh, high school sports were not designed to be fun. I think that they're designed so then the school can make money off of the sport. In my experience, the coaches pushed us pretty hard because if you get to states, they get some sort of bonus off of that. So there's incentive for the coaches. Now, I also think it depends on your school and how fun they can make it. And it depends on the culture of your sports. But I feel like usually it's not an emphasis on being fun. There's an emphasis on getting the work done. And I think that there can be a happy medium, that you have to go in there knowing you're gonna have to find your own fun. And coaches also don't really like it when you mess around. So that's another reason why it's not meant to be fun, which it should be. It should be lighthearted, but high school sports aren't always like that because the coaches are in it for the dough. Okay, reason number two for cons about high school sports is coaches don't really care about injuries. And there's always gonna be someone who is injured and always gonna be someone who's not injured. And, the injured person's not necessarily going to bring their team to victory. So they're not necessarily going to care about you. And also, I feel like coaches usually think that injuries are made up to get out of hard work. which is not always true, but sometimes in my experience too, I injured my hip in cross country and then I injured my shoulder in swimming, and I felt like I was kind of gaslit by my coaches for them not thinking that I was being serious or honest with my injuries. And I think a reason what causes injuries in sports is they don't let you ease into them. And so my advice would be, before you get into whatever sport you're doing, especially if it's cross country or swimming, an individual sport, or even if it's soccer or whatever, practice on your own before you get in there, and so you're in physical shape and you can keep up before preseason. And my last con about high school sports is, in lack of better words, is how much your school actually cares about your sport and the overlapping sports in your section. So what I mean about that is, when I swam, they also made the water poloers swim in their off season. And I was a full-time swimmer, and it was frustrating because the water poloers didn't understand all the rules in swimming. And also they hated swimming. They thought it was so difficult. And so they were frustrated going into it because they didn't know how to do some of the flip turns, they didn't know the rules, like how you can get disqualified in races, and they didn't really care to know, and they hated how hard it was, and so it was kind of just a negative environment. In my school's case, it might be different elsewhere, but that's what I noticed, is overlapping sports sometimes can cause issues. And same thing with cross country. If you did cross country and track, you're most likely going to be more favored by the coach. And if you just did cross country, they weren't going to give you as much attention, and they usually gave more support to the students that did both sports. Then how much your school values your sport. This is going to determine how much funding you're getting towards your sport, how, clean the locker rooms are, and like the football team usually is going to get more resources than swimming, depending on the school. But that's something to consider too when you're choosing your sport, is how many resources are there to really support what I'm going to be going into. And last and final con is the cliques that can arise in high school sports. I noticed it mainly in cross country because in swimming you can't really talk too much because of the water, but in cross country, cliques did form, especially if you were in between groups, like in between the slow group and in between the fast group. Then you were left to yourself. I also found that the fastest athletes usually didn't have as many friends because they were doing their own training. And so those are two things to keep in mind, is that sometimes cliques can form, and it's better just to try your best and not care about the rest, not care about who likes you, who doesn't like you. Just go out there and do your best. So to conclude this video, my overall advice for any high schoolers in a high school sport is, don't place too much pressure on yourself. Exercise is for life and not just a season. Exercise is not just for a high school season. And know going into it that not all coaches are going to have your best interest in heart, because they are trying to win for that reward they're going to get. And listen to your own body, because aches and pains could be an injury, and only you know your body, and so only you are going to know if you need to push it farther, or if it's just a cramp, or if you need to take it back a notch so then you don't injure yourself. Also, going into high school sports, I think it's important to know that you do have a lot on your plate with school assignments, friends, outside stressors, and sports. So just know that you are not weak. You are being asked to do a lot. And finally, you don't always have to be your best. Just do your best and make the best out of it. Have fun. Exercise should be exciting and it should be motivating, but it should never, it's difficult, but it's difficult with a challenge, and it's difficult in building confidence and building that strength, but it should never feel overly stressful. Exercise should be something we love to do, even if it's difficult, because that reward is going to be so much greater. The reward of being healthy is going to be so much greater than any medal or any title you could win. Remember, exercise is for life and not just for a season. Okay, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like and comment and subscribe below if you enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time.